The McStay family, a seemingly perfect American family, lived an idyllic life in Fallbrook, California. Joseph McStay, a successful business owner, was known for his work designing custom fountains. His wife, Summer, was a caring mother to their two young sons, Gianni and Joseph Jr. The family lived in a beautiful home, surrounded by love and joy. No one could have predicted that this peaceful existence would shatter overnight. It was February 2010 when the family of four disappeared without a trace. At first, no one thought much of it. It was not entirely unusual for people to go off the grid or for families to leave town for vacations without notifying everyone. But the more time passed, the more it became clear that something was terribly wrong. When Joseph McStay and his family went missing, the case initially puzzled authorities. Neighbors reported that they hadn't seen the family for several days, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Joseph's business partner, Chase Merritt, was the last person to have seen Joseph alive, but he too was confused by the disappearance. There were no signs of forced entry at their home. The family's belongings, wallets, and cell phones were left behind, and the house appeared exactly as it had been on the previous day. Their beloved pets were still inside, hungry but alive, leading investigators to believe the family had not left willingly. It was almost as if they had vanished into thin air. Strangely, a few days before the family vanished, Joseph had told a friend about receiving an anonymous call about a potential deal in Mexico. Some speculated that the McStays may have fled the country, but there was no indication that they had planned a trip. Their car was also missing from the driveway, which only deepened the mystery. The search for the McStay family became national news, drawing attention from the public and media. Detectives worked tirelessly, scouring the area around their home, questioning neighbors, friends, and business associates. They even looked into the possibility of a kidnapping, though there was no ransom demand. Each lead turned out to be a dead end, and the case soon went cold. Meanwhile, in Mexico, rumors began to spread. A couple on vacation reported seeing a family resembling the McStays in a small, remote town near the Mexican border. The sighting was just one of many false reports that authorities had received over the years, but this one felt different. The couple's description of the family was so specific that it gave the case a fresh sense of urgency. Could the McStays be living in Mexico, or was there something more sinister at play? In November 2013, nearly 4 years after the McStay family's disappearance, a breakthrough finally came. A body was discovered in the remote desert outside of Victorville, California, not just one body, but 4. Authorities rushed to the scene, hoping for answers, but what they found was deeply disturbing. The remains of Joseph, Summer, Gianni, and Joseph Jr. were buried in shallow graves. They had been dead for years. What shocked investigators even more was the realization that the McStay family had been killed close to their home. The location where the bodies were found was eerily close to the border, in a desolate area, suggesting that whoever was responsible had wanted to make sure the family was far enough away to remain hidden. But this discovery raised more questions than answers. How had they gotten there? Who was behind this gruesome act? And most importantly, why had they been murdered? As investigators sifted through the evidence, one name came to the forefront: Chase Merritt, Joseph McStay's business partner. Merritt, a 46-year-old former construction worker, had been close to Joseph, helping him run his fountain business. But it became clear that Merritt had a dark side that wasn't so obvious to those around him. Merritt had financial problems, and his relationship with Joseph had soured in the months leading up to the family's disappearance. Joseph had discovered discrepancies in the business's finances, and there were allegations that Merritt had stolen money from the company. A motive was emerging. Could Merritt have murdered the McStay family over money? The investigators began to dig deeper into Merritt's background. They discovered that he had been living a double life, hiding his financial struggles and a series of lies about his dealings with Joseph. He had also been trying to cover his tracks, using various methods to make it look as though he was innocent. One of the most chilling pieces of evidence came when they found that Merritt had been using Joseph's cell phone to send text messages from Mexico, making it appear as though the McStays had voluntarily disappeared. Merritt's careful manipulation of evidence made it clear he had been plotting the family's murder for months. In 2019, Merritt was arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. The trial revealed shocking details that made the case even more disturbing. According to the prosecution, Merritt had planned the murders with brutal precision, carefully studying the McStays' movements and orchestrating the killings while making it look like a simple disappearance. It was revealed that Merritt had been desperate to cover up his embezzlement of funds from the business and had gone to great lengths to ensure the McStays could never expose him. The jury heard about how Merritt had tried to manipulate Joseph's family and friends, even playing the role of a grieving business partner when the McStays were missing. For years, he kept up the charade, all the while knowing what he had done. But as the evidence piled up, his lies began to unravel. One of the most shocking aspects of the trial was the discovery that Merritt had not only murdered the family but had done so with no remorse. He had coldly planned to bury them in the desert, hoping that no one would ever find them. When the McStay's bodies were discovered, investigators found DNA evidence linking Merritt to the crime scene. They also uncovered traces of blood in his vehicle, which further implicated him in the murders. On October 10, 2020, after months of testimony, Merritt was convicted of all charges. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The McStay family's tragic deaths left a lasting mark on their loved ones, and the community still struggles to understand how such a horrific crime could have been committed by someone so close to them. The case of the McStay family was one of the most shocking true crime stories of the decade. What began as a disappearance turned into a web of lies, betrayal, and a shocking motive that left the world stunned. The tragedy serves as a reminder that not even the people closest to us can be trusted, and that beneath the surface of seemingly perfect lives can lie a dark and deadly secret. Even though justice was served, the McStay family's case continues to haunt people to this day. The tragedy raised unsettling questions about human nature, the lengths to which people will go for money, and the devastation that can result from betrayal. As time passes, the mystery of the McStay's disappearance and the brutal murder of an innocent family will remain one of the most shocking and tragic cases in modern true crime history.